Some brand names. I haven't come up with it yet, so I guess we'll just go ahead and...
Hold on, I haven't started yet.
All right, well, what haven't you started?
Because it was...
No, you're saying like you haven't started YouTube yet, or MX Live?
Hold on.
And we're using a camera. What are we looking at?
Pretty much how we work it is, it's really up to Mike and on it. At least during the shows, we focus on that. Today, he may just leave it on that one right now. So, all right, so today we are actually here to talk about a leadership series that we're going to be launching, I guess, in a couple of weeks right now. And we're really just trying to work out the format, thinking about a half hour, and we got to work on some names. So I guess let's have some fun. What do we have for names? What do we have for names over here?
A lot of names. We can do, my wife said leadership up or leading up, but it could be leading all around or
leading
solutions-based, entrepreneur, innovative.
Yeah, that's right. Because I keep, and I give this to your wife, because the one word that I keep, and we talked about this, and the example we talked about in your brand, and really what you're bringing through a methodology that really looks at diversity, right? And I've already shared with a couple people how that, like, the diversity leads to creativity, and that creativity leads to more of, I'll say, the word we kept talking about, a more full or a more abundant or a more robust kind of capacity. I remember we talked about that example of that the vase, right? That you put the rocks into, and then you're like, is it full? And then you go and take some smaller rocks, and is it full? And then you take some sand, and is it full? And it's really not until we put the water in till it's full. And that's kind of like the feeling of the leadership methodology that you have. And I keep trying to come up with a word for it, and the best one I can come up with is like, what is it, satiated? And I'm like, that won't work. You know, like, so I don't know. Like, I'd like to figure out, and we don't have to have the answer today, but I'd like a name that emphasizes the completeness.
Right.
Even a complete leadership. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't want it to be so like overused.
Right.
Because it's not that. Let's talk a little bit before we even worry about that, about your background a little bit and why we're going in this direction.
Okay.
So you're currently studying for strategic leadership.
Yeah, I'm currently a doctoral student with Regent University in their strategic leadership program. So it's a very interesting multidisciplinary degree. Just preparing me and further preparing me for leadership development and just helping people and organizations be better within change and strategy and just all around. Just like you said, you're talking about like in a vase having emptiness, and so within those empty spots, right, or emptiness, how do we become more competent? How do we become more full? And it's an ongoing, lifelong journey. So I think that would be probably something to look into about the name. It's lifelong. It's not something that you just, okay, I'm here, I'm a leader already. No, it's lifelong. It's a process, as you and I both know.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I actually just had a situation over the past couple of days where, sometimes when you try to be a leader, you do everything every book ever says to do about leadership, and it still doesn't work, right? It doesn't come out the way you want it to come out. And you sit back and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Learn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's it. If it is that ongoing, forever process. I don't believe that leadership is first off, I don't believe leadership is this talent that you're born with. That's one of the things that I think so many people believe.
Right.
So I think I want people to know that leadership is a skill set, right? I mean, you'd know better than I. How would you describe what leadership is?
I would continue with what we're saying, that leadership has to be a lifelong process. It has to be where, you go into leadership from wherever you're at. So wherever you're at in your life, you are from that point or that standpoint trying to equip yourself, train yourself to be better, to be more competent, to be influential. And the biggest thing for me is that, like Robert Greenleaf, he coined in the 1970s, servant leadership, right? To be a server. If we think of all the greatest and leaders of history, they were all servers. But in this day and time in our contemporary society, nobody, that's the last thing somebody would say about a leader. Servant,
right?
Yeah, get out of my face.
Right.
Get out of here. But you know what? More and more companies and industries are now looking to that. And so, we talk about Men's Warehouse, Southwest Airlines.
Southwest, a great example.
I mean, and we can go down the road with a lot of great organizations that are using this model. They may not say servant leadership, but they're using the model of servant leadership, which basically the test, if you would say, or how do you know if you're a leader or a servant leader is do the people who you're leading become better? Do they themselves become followers and leaders and influencers and servers? So it's a cycle. So I think that leadership, it would be a lifelong process, a cycle of learning and empowering one another. And if I serve you and you serve me, we never go without.
I think you said something, and everything you keep saying, there's like this journey, and I wrote here, the leadership process.
Yeah.
Do you think that leadership could almost be broken down into that 5, 6, 7 steps of do these, just keep doing them over and over and over and over? Is there a refinement process? Is there a journey that we could set people on and give them some pointers? And then go, okay, I'm here, but what do you mean by that? I mean, can they go in depth, or is it just too broad to define?
I think yes and no.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's perfect. That's a good.
Yes and no. I mean, right? I'm in a program right now, a doctoral program. When I'm done with this program, okay, I get a degree saying I did that. That was a step into my leadership, but that does not mean that I'm done. Now I'm just going to get further training and further equipped and further practice, right? So some people feel like, okay, I've 5 steps to be a great leader in car industry. Okay, you're done with that, but now what? And so people get stagnant and they start to use old models and let's face it, folks, right? Like Alan Weiss says, make no mistakes. It's funny. Things are so they change so quickly, so turbulent, right? I mean, it's just so quick. Everything's changing. So we would be fools to think that training we got 5 years ago is still valid today. Now, I'm not saying that some things aren't. Sure. But you have to continuously renew yourself. That's another area, right, where we're working in with renewal. So I would say, yes, there's 5 steps to maybe, for this year. But then after this year, you have to reevaluate where you're at. Where's your team at? Where's your business at, right? Where's your organization at? And then make another 5 steps because you're going to have to keep changing.
Another 5 steps to reach it, right. But I'm wondering, as I'm hearing you talking, there are principles that are not going to change.
Right.
There are those principles that are not going to change. And we started talking about some of those principles the other day. Accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a huge one for leadership. But that's one of those, like, to me, it starts to feel like a 4-letter word. It's like one of those things that people are like, accountability. Like, you're micromanaging me.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, let your results speak for yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, my results are speaking for themselves. Well, they're not speaking very well. So how are we going to, what are we going to do to move those things forward? Now, I mean, do you want to get better? Yeah. Do you want help? No, I can do it all myself.
Right.
Little circular logic.
You need to be accountable. And that's, I think, leaders themselves should pave the way in that, in terms of, I want you to be accountable, so I'm going to show you first accountability. Okay. And so I'm going to be, and great leaders are accountable to their followers.
Absolutely.
Right?
But, yes.
Go ahead.
No.
This is awesome. I'm getting excited. So that was one of the principles we spoke of. The other one was authenticity. Yeah. You have to be authentic, right? Nobody wants to work or be led by a leader who is fake, right? Like the kids say around here, keep it real, right? Well, you got to keep it real. I mean, if you're not keeping it real with your organization, your wife, your husband, your family, your business, people will know. Eventually, people will know.
That was something I read in a John Maxwell book that said you cannot have leadership without integrity.
Right.
And I thought that and the way he explained it, I'm like, that's so, like, people will see the holes in your, I'll say it this way, the holes in your bowl. Right? And it's like, nobody's saying you need to be perfect.
No.
They're simply saying, if you're willing and wanting to commit to growth, wherever you are, it's a good place to begin.
But isn't that it? Isn't that it, Chuck? Like, you are showing people that you are not perfect by being accountable.
Yes.
Because only perfect, supposedly, leaders are not accountable because they feel like they fear that people will actually, they're not transparent. That's the other principle I think we spoke of.
Transparency.
Yeah. So, but when you are transparent and authentic, you show your followers that you are real, that you are imperfect, and you know what, people, the atmosphere in the organization changes. You know why? Because everybody's like, okay, if our leader is not perfect and he or she is transparent, how much more can I be transparent?
Right, like I can be that.
Right.
I can be imperfect. Once
Right.
I realized that I could be imperfect,
right,
I was like,
right.
yahoo, I can do that.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing I think we need to get out to our to the world right now. Because for me, I feel like America as a whole is sorely lacking leadership, not only in our society, in corporate America, in our families, and everything else. Leadership seems to have been this thing that we gave a title to and said, there, we now call you leader, therefore you are. Like, no, not the way it works.
Right.
So, and I know that so with this show, I know that we're going to be talking a lot about more business type leadership. But the principles are going to fall outside of just business.
Right. And I would think that we're not going to be so in the box, right? Because I'm not in the box type of person. I'm out of the box. So whatever ideas or whatever is going on, current events, whatever is going on in our community or within the United States or even the world, right? Because we are global. So we'll attack it. We're contrarians. Is that the right word?
I think so.
You go against the grain, right? You go against the norm.
Actually, as a leader, I think about that. As a leader, how can you go with the norm?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you're supposed to be out front. You're the one taking all the hits. You're like, oh, right, not real fun not real fun here. Like, come on, stay back and I'll protect you. I think it'd be interesting, and I don't want to necessarily, we've talked about this, is we can't go into a leadership series and thinking it's all going to be like happy and we're going to make everybody happy.
Right.
Because, let's face it, we need to, if we're going to be accountable, we also need to be able to look at people and go, this is what's going on. Right. So how could we do something like you just said, in the current, what's in the news? Right. How could we do something maybe on each show where we take an article or we take something and how is this leadership? Yeah. What do we think? And I don't want to necessarily, I'd want to be cautious. I don't want to make it a political roundtable. I don't want to, but the politics are going to be there.
Right.
We could pick this one, and as long as we only looked at it from a leadership perspective, or we could pick a business person. Actually, just last week, I did something on Thursdays where I thought the CEO of GM, when she came out and acknowledged the problem that they had with their cars, and I thought it was very interesting, and I was trying to look at it very much from a brand perspective, but I think if we looked at it from a leadership perspective, it'd be interesting too. That might be something to figure out if we can't lead in there. Now, I know that we're talking about trying to do about a half-hour seminar, and I think that if we're going to do that, and seminar is probably the wrong term for this, but I think we need about 15 minutes of real meat in each one. Yeah. And then some other stuff that is examples. Yeah. Or principles. Or I don't know. So maybe we do like 10 minutes of meat, 10 minutes on a topic, accountability.
We gotta have some dessert in there if there's meat.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe we should we do a leadership with dessert? We got afternoon cocktail. We should probably do dessert or something each week. Yeah, we can do that. We can have some fun with that. Yeah. So I know we're trying to get this started in about 3 weeks. So we definitely need to get a little format together. And I know that you're a little bit pressed for time today, and I apologize for getting started late. But let's think through this. Now, got about half an hour. Our audience is... I really hesitate to ever say CEOs, right? Because most people, when they hear the term CEO, they think, Tom Golisano. They think like big name, big dollar person. But I say CEO, I think the guy, girl, gal, kid running the 3-person employee, like three employee shop type thing. Because the CEO is really that executive that's in charge of it. So, I don't want to limit it just to CEOs, but I know that's really, we're going to go into the business area, but who else do we want to talk to? Who do we want to talk to in this?
I think we want to talk to anybody who wants to be a leader, or anyone who is a leader, or anyone who feels they have the potential to be a leader. I guess anybody who's breathing.
Okay.
I mean, it's great, and if you want, I mean, there's always ways to go around everything, right? So everybody is a CEO. I mean, if you own anything, then you're the CEO of that, right? You have a car
of your life. Who's in control of your life?
You are. So then you're the CEO. Well, I'm a man of faith, right? So I have a different answer to that in another topic. But everybody's in charge of themselves in one way or another. Yeah. So you're the CEO of your house. You're the CEO of your room. I mean, so even if it's a young boy or girl, 10 or 12 or 13, aspiring to be a leader, then this show is for you. And I don't know if do our people have access to email us, or because they could start sending us questions or sending us ideas.
We'll begin working toward that. During shows we'll have moderators that'll be able to ask us questions. One of the things we had a system to do that. We're switching over, but yeah, that's exactly. I'd like to be able to have people ask us, but more than that, because what we're finding is that the live aspect, you don't get a ton of people tuning in, but over the week after the show, it's just the ongoing. Yeah. So it's a matter of being able, and people will be able to contact us on this episode. You said that,
right? Or even that's what I mean. Like even just emailing or sending messages to Udicci and saying, "I saw this show. What happened here? Or what does this mean? Or you know what? You guys missed this topic on women in leadership, for example. So what do you guys think of that?" And so we're gonna just really bring it. We're gonna bring it. We want feedback, because we're not pretending to know it all either, right? We want to learn too. So, and that's all about leadership, learning. That's another principle. Always a learner. We're on fire today.
Always a learner. That's good. I like that. So here's a question: Do we want to bring guests on?
I think that would be a great idea. What do you think?
I think so. I think primarily that I want to just sit back and listen to you talk to other people, and every now and then just throw in some random comment that makes no sense.
That's good.
But I think that we should definitely bring a guest on each and every time, and so we need to start building a guest list as far as that goes.
That'd be great. And I think guests in every industry and every type of organization, every type of subject. I think that there's leaders in everything. So whether it's business, political, ecclesial, flowers. I mean, you name it. People are leading in so many different places that some of us do not even think or consider these people leaders, and they have the best leadership, and we need to learn from them.
That's a good point.
It is.
That's a great. So I almost feel like what we need to do is start outlining some topics, right? And let's outline the first X number of topics, 6 topics that we're going to cover. Then we can start inviting people based on the topics.
That'd be great.
Right? We can start identifying who would make some sense. Like on this topic, I think we should definitely get so-and-so. And I know that we're going to talk about, if we're going to start with accountability. We talked about that the other day. What other topics that would you think that we should just out of the gate come with? I mean,
if you're going to be a leader, you have to learn, and this is something that's lifelong, to be selfless.
Okay.
And being a leader doesn't begin and end at, let's say, your business or your organization.
Right.
I think that it begins and ends with yourself. It begins and ends in your family, right? If you're married, then you have to also be a leader at your home.
Absolutely.
And if things are not going that great at your home, then you have to be humble enough to make them well again. So,
or leave it up to your wife, because it's probably her fault.
Right. I'm talking about
Ruby.
this because she puts me in check once in a while. So, but it's the truth. If your relationships in different areas of your life are not right, how can you lead? Things become discombobulated. You feel like you pretend. That goes back to that not being real again. Authenticity. That's another one. We definitely have that.
Yeah, authenticity.
And the learning. I think I'm huge on that one. You have to be a continuous learner. Have you ever run into people like that? I'm a leader. You can't tell me. I tell you.
That's it. I met this guy. No, anyway.
I was thinking of Chuck.
No, I have, and it's funny because here's the one thing I recognized long time ago, and again from my faith, I was actually thankful for that. I joke around about being imperfect. The people that really know me, I actually have a saying that I'm wrong 97% of the time.
Right.
And it really was something that I started many years ago to remind myself.
Only 97%?
Yeah. There's 3% of my life that's pretty good. You can figure that piece out.
Okay.
There's that father, son. Anyways, that's a whole other thing, right? So that was I started literally using that little mantra in my life, and it was a way of reminding myself, stop. You don't know Jack.
Right.
You're like, no, I know Jack. He's a good guy. Wrong thing, right? But it's like 90. I'm wrong 97% of the time, and do I mean that? Yes, because when I finally opened up my mind to the size of the world, I recognized so much that I didn't know. And as soon as I did that, I was like, ooh, now I can listen more. Now I can understand more. Now I can take more in. Now I can learn more.
Right.
So, I think that continues on. But, I love running across the people who are leaders. We had a meeting a while back, and this guy comes in, and long story short, he's like, before we can talk, you need to sign this agreement. I'm like, to talk with you? Well, and I'm like, well, okay, what are you doing? Well, it's a non-compete, it's a non-disclosure, it's a non-this, it's a non-that. I'm like, what? Great, but I have no idea what you're coming to talk to me about. You're coming to talk to me because we have something you want. And I'm like, so what am I signing here? What, you've never done any kind of business? I'm sitting here going like, well, yeah, I have, but how do you start with that? And that's it. That's the guys who are like, we know it all.
Right.
Like, what do you do with that?
And if you think about it, Chuck, and I mean, when I was younger, I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you too, or do you?
Yeah, no.
Or do you still think you know?
I still think I don't know. 97% of the time I'm wrong that I think I don't know.
But as you grow, right, and as you continue to learn, you really, geez, I don't know anything.
I don't know.
That's the true leader. You come to this position in this place in your life where you're like, you know what? I need to learn so much more. And there's so much to learn that I just need to stay humble and just keep learning and lead from that. And people, you know what? You start, after you start doing that for a little while, you look back and a bunch of people will be following.
Yeah.
Because they see themselves in you.
They're like, it's this. They see the imperfections.
Exactly.
And that you got to the point where you're okay with the imperfection.
All right.
So I think a couple things here, and this is good. One of the things that really hit me back here was, where was this? Influence, authenticity, accountability, transparency. Transparency would be a great topic.
It will.
So I think what we need to do is we'll just kind of take these few topics and we'll start putting behind them. And if you can start thinking of people, who might you know for this? Who would be a great host on there? And you'll put together some basic talking points. We'll come on. We'll kick this thing off. Recognize that the first, as Amanda said today, she goes, no, as the way I'm looking at it, she says, I was thinking the first 3 to 5 shows were really just a test. And she goes, but now after working with you guys, I realize it's probably going to take about 40. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I was thinking like 100.
Right. All right. Whatever. We're good with that. But that's what we do. It's like we'll do the first few, we'll try to figure it out, and we'll just keep molding it from there. And if we want to target that 30, I think that 30-minute time slot, I think that'd be really good. And then I think after we do a couple and figure out the stride that we're going to do, we should start inviting would-be leaders to sit in with us.
Definitely.
You know, the first couple times, we'll do a small office.
We can call them, like they call them in the academy, roundtables, where you have people just sitting around the round table. And the whole theme, the whole logic behind a round table is that there isn't somebody at the end of tables who are in charge, but it's a round, so everybody has a fair say.
Okay.
And so I think that'll be a great idea, whether we're at a literal table or not, it doesn't matter, or whether we're running around in a circle, it doesn't matter.
What do you think of that as a name? Roundtable leadership.
That would be good. That'd be good. Roundtable leadership. Oh man, I think we got it.
We got it. And I guess that's all we really needed today.
All right, show's over.
Show's over. We're done. We got a title. Roundtable leadership.
Yeah.
But actually, I do kind of like that. It works. Round table leadership.
See what happens when you're around a leader?
Exactly.
Leader.
You got the answer.
Oh man,
you got it. It's you feed off each other.
But you know, as the old proverb says, you know, as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another.
Absolutely.
Or one woman sharpen another, right? So it's good. It's, you know, when you're around people, great things start happening.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
All right. Now I know you guys had to be out of here by 6:30. I do apologize that we ran a little bit late today, but I think we got a lot of answers. We needed to get some answers, and particularly got a title. So,
Can I say something to the audience real quick?
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah. So if you really are focusing and really are trying to get to a next level in your life, you cannot miss this show. Chuck and I and the group Udicci and all the partners are just excited, and we're just so humbled to have this privilege to be with you in this short spot. But it's short, but it's going to be compact, powerful, uplifting, empowering, equipping, transforming. I mean, just inspirational, right, Chuck?
What he said.
Yeah, so you cannot miss it. You better be here. We're going to bring people from all over the world, or maybe Rochester, who knows. But you got to be here. You got to be here. So don't miss it next time. Roundtable leadership. And I think we just figured out that every show, you should close. All right.
With your, you wrap it up from that. All righty, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, quick partial. All right. So we'll get. You good? You good? Huh?
This is great.
Good. Hey.
You know, you can see Tim.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Ruby Tim. This is our well, line with that. Like that. That worked. I think that worked good. That was
You guys have great energy.
Good. Yeah. It does. And then that'll help come across. lost a little bit. And, yeah, we're just going to put settings down now and I can just pop it. So it just sounds like about I'll work it on. You're on now for doing this.